All right. Good morning and happy Sunday. We're closing out February and we're almost getting finished with this Stoic journey of sorts. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the end. I'm going to come up with more stuff as I go along, as well as stuff that I'm doing outside of this digital realm to get motherfuckers in a better in a better place where I can spread the word. Still trying to figure out how to do this online, but I'll figure it out. Just gotta keep pushing forward, and there'll be a slow build up, a slow falling, but it's the point to the fact of the matter that, with what I have been doing within, the past couple months, and even past year, was to do this was to help people out, but this was just everyday people. And I constantly get these thank you texts from them. Not constantly, but I will whenever we talk about certain stuff. And look, it's a gift that I have, but it's something that I feel as though I'm destined to, throw out there into the ether, throw out there into the world to help some people out, And as well, it helps me out because I'm still doing what I'm doing for me, and I just have it trickle down. And ultimately, that's how it should be for any strong lead. If you know you're a strong lead, you know what you do that works for you. Have it trickle down, but to not have what worked for you try to work for other people. It's like they're going to have their own ways of doing it. You just give them the blueprint, where it's like, look, what you're doing, whether I'm not going to say that it's wrong, I'm going to show you this blueprint to show you what can be done differently to benefit you. And that's literally all that it is, because that person probably has taken their time to try to figure shit out. We all do, we all have, we're all still doing that. It's a journey of betterment, But if I can, turn back around and say, hey, you look like you need some help. All right, let me put some things in you verbally, and let's see how well it resonates with you. And that's literally it. But I always follow that adage. You could bring a horse to water, but you can't make that bastard drink. You just can't do it. But not that this is any sort of segue, because it's a really shitty one, but we're going to get on to the next topic, and that's what others think. Now, from Ward Farnsworth, let's see. This topic can also be considered a Stoic examination of vanity and pride, for these all are externals of a common family. They involve social life, the desire for status within it, and for the good opinion of others. Most people seek those things as intently as they chase money or pleasure, and work just as hard to avoid the loss of them. The first rule of this branch of Stoic teaching is contempt for conformity, for the opinion of the majority, for the habit of looking to others when thinking about what to prefer and how to act. And then the problem runs deep. A large share of what most people say, think, and do is a product of convention. Its force is hard to resist because getting in line with what others expect causes them to think well of us. Deviating from it tends to be punished swiftly by others who are more comfortable saying, doing, and enforcing what is expected. Much of Stoicism is the effort to see the truth and act on it, and to learn a noble contempt for the consequences that follow. And no real unpacking of that, but I will say, from this topic, and honestly, it should be other topics that you come into, being a better you, providing better for the self, to promote the concept of a moral compass. Now, when it comes to that, you always, if this is, for the ones that want to be on the right path, you always want your moral compass to aim true north. North is fine. That still means that, you're still working on shit, you're coming out of it. But true north, that comes with justice, fairness, morality, all that good shit to keep you on that path. To have it go south is, obviously the complete opposite. And I'm sure, like, east and west, not to my knowledge, but I'm sure that from an educated guess that it could be, you're kind of teetering between north and south. Like, you might have some good morality concepts, but your ego's too fucking into it. Like, your ego kind of holds you back from getting that true north, and it's really on you to go ahead and figure that shit out. Now, Stoicism tries instead to substitute a greater respect for one's own opinions, and practice at valuing things for what they are rather than for anyone else thinks about them. The other side of our topic is criticism and insult. There are externals we can't control, but the Stoics also offer specific ways to think about attacks and respond to them. One is to regard the contempt of others with contempt, or regard to the others themselves with contempt, or to welcome the contempt when it is earned by doing the right thing. Now, with that, it's to regard the contempt of others with contempt. So it's like, they think that they know you on some shit, but it's like, you know you, or rather, you're supposed to know who you are. To where whatever kind of bullshit they're gonna fling at you, it's whatever. You can either really not pay attention to it, like just kind of like it just passes right through you and you keep talking, or if you believe that it deserves a kind of response to where you judo flip their bullshit to where now you make them feel like shit, which is very, very easy to do. I mean, it depends, but it's all within the good defense rather than the good offense. Because you're not out here picking fights. You're just out here standing firm in your righteousness, not letting the bullshit get to you. And that's it. I have someone I have someone on my own job that thinks twice before saying some dumb shit. And that's really that's like, okay, you're learning. It took a couple times, but it's like, look, don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you, and that's literally all that it is. So to have this person like not even finish their sentence, not even finish their thought process before getting the shit out, it's like, all right, I'll give you a little bit of kudos for that, but that's due to your own trial and error. I got to see that, as you have yourself, or I fucking hope that you did. And there you go. We didn't even go to that realm. So, not bad. Another family of responses involves humility and forgiveness. Stoics usually can accept insults in good humor by reflecting that any such criticism probably understates their true faults. They are comfortable enough with self-inflicted ridicule to be unconcerned when others add to it. Now, this can be aimed towards a lot of people. And look, and I like to preface this as there's no takeaway from the women. But I see that a lot in women where it's just like, I beat myself up, so there's nothing you could say that's going to get me that I haven't already done to myself as part of my morning ritual. But even with that, it's like, I don't really agree with that kind of shit. It's just rather not, it's good to accept your faults without inflicting pain upon yourself for doing it, if that adds up. Like, okay, we all have our problems, we all have our faults. Choose to work on it rather than to add to it. Because, you're going to have that one person that's going to be like, oh yeah, well, I already talked shit to myself for a good 10 minutes before I left the house. What do you have? And then you have others that's just like, well, I'm practically untouchable because I had this talk with myself about, what I want to change. And to have you just kind of drop that shit on me, I know that it could be triggering if I didn't have that kind of talk. And I don't even like saying the fucking word triggering. I don't. But it's to the point where you know this about yourself well enough so that if someone else were to put it on you, you're just kind of like, yeah, and then that's it. Or like, I'm working on it. Whether or not that they're going to see that or they recognize that, that's not really up to them. It's just like you say it, but you don't even add anything to it. You're just like, yeah, it's something I'm working on, and that's it, and you're done. You apply more of the actions than the verbose, and to be criticized though, it comes to a point where it's like, no, take the criticism as it comes. If you know that this is something that you're building on, where it's just, I have this issue with this, or that, the other person tells you, and that kind of impedes your sociability skills to where, it keeps you from having good sorts of conversations without someone kind of pumping the brakes going, hey, that shit that you're doing, I don't like it, or whatever have you, however that would go around. But you got to take that. You got to take that if you know that you're trying to fix it. Because if another person were to take that criticism and they say that they want to fix it, but then they fucking don't, well, now there's the triggering and all the other shit, and now that kind of sets their tone for the day, and they're upset and yada yada. But whose fault is that really? When you put it on the scale to weigh, is it the person that's triggered, like, is it their fault, or is it the fault of the other person that's kind of like putting them on the spotlight? Not that it's gaslighting, because there's a difference with that. When you put someone on the spot to have them be accountable for their shit and to add in the humility to it, it's not to bring you down, it's to help you be aware whether or not that you are, or that you are and you don't care, or, at some point there's going to be something that's missing to where now you're bothered. Oh, okay, well, what is that? And how can you just kind of just like root that out, pull the roots out from the ground? And then, with that, it's just kind of like, you gotta keep your feelings out of it. I know, probably easier said than done, but look, if you're really like putting down the work day by day to build up to a better you, then this isn't gonna bother you. And if it does, well, you have some shit to work out. You can't be stuck in your mind with thoughts with like these thoughts where you're just overthinking, that quicksand. Now again, I talked about it. The mental quicksand, man. It can either really pull you down really fast, or it takes its time to where, you're not exactly struggling, but you're just kind of like slowly pulling yourself out of it, with that one branch that you hope, like, I hope this motherfucker does not snap. So, but we're going to get into this. Number one, conformity, a common opinion. The Stoic regards conformity to social expectations as the source of much of our behavior and much of our imbecility. We live by imitating others, and so act out ways of life that have nothing in reason to recommend them. Convention, to be clear, is not merely irrelevant from a Stoic standpoint. It is a repository of error, an engine of misjudgment, and a source of pressure that one must learn to resist. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Now, before I get to the Seneca quote, to get into it, it's we try to fit in a lot of the times, but look, man, I gotta tell you, if you're having a hard time fitting in, it's because you're meant to stand out. Literally that, but it's an everyday thing. It's always been like this for long periods of time. No one wants to be outside of the tribe. Everyone wants to feel accepted, so we're willing to like put, we're willing to just kind of like put our own individuality aside to fit in. And you can't do that. You have to be able to merge your individuality with the tribe Just so long as it's not something that's, I don't know, harmful or some shit like that, you know? Really want to get into, you really want to continue to be yourself. Never live in a lie to make other people happy. It's the last thing you want to fucking do for yourself. Not only because it's not conducive to your betterment, your better life, but some people will be able to see that within the groups that you're trying to conform to. And they're just kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna test this person to see if he truly is one of us. And then they just start fucking with you. No, man, you can put your own thing in the pot, still be you, and not be like anyone else. It makes you unique. It makes you you. You always want to be you. You know. Even when we we can't help but imitate people, and sometimes that comes from adoration for the other person, where it's just like, no, I like this person's personality, you know, and then here comes the line where it's like, either you want to be more like them, or you want to have more of their, I guess, tones and personality to where not like, and it's not even something that you think about. It's like an underlying thing where you adopt it, and now you're doing the same shit that I'm doing. And this is no takeaway from from certain people. Like, for example, I say goofy a lot. it caught on, but I don't mind that, and I'm not gonna fuck with them because of that. No, it's just like, look, to me, if you see what I see, and you call it out the same way I do, cool, but you're still your own person to me. You know what I'm saying? We're just calling the shit goofy together. No better union. Now we're gonna get and on top of that, that the convention is a repository of error, an engine of misjudgment, and a source of pressure that one must learn to resist. Yeah, of course, because she could be on the other foot with that, and it's very easy to misjudge someone whether with or without context. Obviously without context, but even with the context, it's very easy for us to place misjudgments without even getting like the full scope of things. And this is on us to kind of learn from and resist that that shit to get into like that. So we're going to get into it from Seneca from Epistles. Many of our troubles may be explained by the fact that we live according to a pattern, and instead of arranging our lives according to reason, are led astray by convention. And you know what? It's the absolute truth. And I want to get into it, how this Stoicism thing that I'm doing, right? This is red pill, right? And for those that don't know, it's originally supposed to be a thing where you find out the pattern of human behavior, the pattern of society. Somewhere along the way, it just became like an all-male space to just kind of come together and get to a point where we're just trying to figure out women and we're trying to figure out ourselves and this and that. But I just feel as though along the way, like it got up and it was really good, but then along the way it just kind of like, I don't know, fell, where now everyone's just getting angry and the red pill starts to become black pilled, which means that you're just a nihilistic prick. Even though you want to understand, but you gotta let the ego go when you're doing the research and the understanding. Again, the truth is going to set you free, but first it's going to piss you off, but you have to realize that. Whether or not you even wrestle with the fucking fact of that, it keeps you from getting blackpilled. And now, to talk about the definition of convention, the actual definition, it's a way in which something is usually done, especially with a particular area or activity. And when it comes to that, yeah. So, think about that quote from Seneca. That our troubles can be explained easily because we're living in a pattern. So if something's doomed to repeat again, you can pin it, oh yeah, okay, that's why. Because if not that, you're just going to plunge into fucking insanity. And that's just, doing the same shit over and over and over, hoping for a different result, whether or not it happens. It's like, oh, okay, not this time. All right, we'll go again. It's like, bruv, it's like the 18th time. From Marcus Aurelius. How much trouble he avoids by not looking to see what his neighbor does or thinks, by looking only to what he does himself, that it may be just and pure. The part of the good man is not to peer into the character of others, but to run straight down the line without glancing to one side or the other. And this is from Meditations. My apologies. But with this quote, the part of a good man is not to peer into the character of others, but to run straight down the line without glancing to one side or the other. So, we could, you can take a look at a motherfucker and immediately tell, if you're a good judge of character, what this person is about, just from body movements to how their face is and all sorts of other shit. And then there's more telltale signs as you go along with just socializing. You just, you pay close attention, even though you're not like dipping outside of the conversation. You could do both. You can make your analysis as you're putting into the conversation. But to run straight down the line without glancing to one side or the other, because, look, man, you're not going to get swayed by the side shit, the extra shit. It comes to what you see within you. And if you see that with other people, that's fine. If you see that within other people and you hate it, well, that's not fine, because now that's something that you hate about yourself. You gotta fix that, man. And once when you like fix that shit, and then you see that with other people, you just can't help but smile. It's like, I was like you, And now you just kind of, you can help them out, but or you can either help them out, or you just kind of wait and see what they do with that as the days go on. Whether you see them every day, it's like an associate or a good friend, what have you, or someone that you just met at the gym or places like that. Now, kindred observations on the dangers of living by the opinion of others, and this is from Epicurus, quoted in Seneca from Epistles. I have never wished to satisfy the crowd, for what I know they do not approve, and what they approve I do not know. Fucking ooh, like it's just one whole sentence, but it hits so fucking hard, man. I have never wished to satisfy the crowd, for what I know they do not approve, and what they approve I do not know. Like, really think about that. Seriously, really, really think about that shit, man. Because it's like, again, you're not there to you shouldn't be wanting of approval from anybody but yourself. Because that's what matters most. Even when it comes to like family and you're at odds, and you're still going to be you. Your genetic makeup, your thought, your school of thought, all that shit. You're still going to be you. That should be enough for them to go ahead and say, come on in. Without any judgment. You should not have to bend the fucking knee to get into their inner circle, and by following their own personality traits that are far removed from your own. Fuck that. And when it comes to a different school of thought, yeah, I say a lot of shit to people that they don't like it. They don't. But it's because it's not something that they were ever exposed to. I talk to people in a certain way that not a lot of people get to them in that manner, like how I do it. But that's not to make me special in any kind of way. No, it's just I figured a lot of shit out throughout my journey thus far, especially in my 20s. And that's to come to anybody if they really want to think better, And for what they approve, I do not know. So with that, it's like, and it comes down to the choice of whether I want to know it or not. But ultimately, no, I don't know it. And it's just like, well, just because I don't know it doesn't mean it bothers me any. So I'm in my own I'm doing my own thing, If I were to, do the research on it, figure it out, well, then the choice is ultimately up to me. As it should be to them if the shoe's on the other foot. Now, we care less about the truth. Sorry, this is from Montaigne on vanity. We care less about the real truth of our inner selves and about how we are known to the public, which not a lot of people look inward. Again, you're just trying to conform to societal standards, and that sacrifices your inner self, your inner truth. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Now, we're going to move to number 2, the appetite for praise. Oh, shit. As pernicious as the problem of conformity and the driver of it is the desire for praise from others, immediately or in the long run. We practice things that will win praise. We should practice the art of not needing it. And I already know this is going to be a deep fucking dive, because I've gone through this in my past, and I've got to like analyze. I got to analyze, accept, reconcile, and just move forward with a better frame of mind with shit, you know. Now we're gonna go to, well, actually, before I even get to the quote, man, yeah, a lot of people want to do shit for praise, and they feel some type of way when they don't receive it, as if it's something like a reward system, like this. It's expected to happen, like, oh, you know, good job showing tenderness today, babe. You know, really proud of you, this and that, and I'll give you this, whatever. And it's like, no. No. Because of the fact where it's like, it should be expected to live through life with good morality. And I say that in like justly and in fairness, because I'm not one to have expectations like that. But with this kind of thing, it's not for societal standards. It's for the individual's standards that they could give to society, and then it becomes that. In that order. You have to start, it all starts with you, man. It really fucking does. And, you know, once when you just start doing shit and you're on this good path and you're good natured, you do the good shit because it feels good to you. That should be better than the praise to receive, even if you get it. If you get it, yeah, it feels good. But if you don't, whatever. I wanted to do it because it felt right for me to do so. And I get to see the reactions. That's enough praise for me. And even if you know, sometimes the reaction isn't so well received, the fact that it still means a lot to you should fucking say something. You know, that's a statement. And I tell people this all the time for how I talk to people, how I uplift people, how I do my own shit. And it's like I never expect anything in return. Would it be nice? Of course. That doesn't mean I put my thought into it where it's like, oh my god, I hope it comes. It's like, no, dude. Curl hit me in the fucking eye too. It's all about where it starts for you, and if it feels right for you, and you know that since it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, not just for the goose. Okay, keep that up. Now, the point on a larger, we're gonna get to Marcus Aurelius from Meditations. What then is to be valued? The clapping of hands? No. Nor should we value the clapping of tongues, for that is the praise of the masses. I don't have to unpack that. From Schopenhauer, The Wisdom of Life, 1851. In all we do, almost the first thing we think about is, what will people say? And nearly half the troubles and bothers of life may be traced to our anxiety on this score. It is the anxiety which is at the bottom of all that feeling of self-importance, which is so often mortified because it is so very morbidly sensitive. Fucking A, Schopenhauer, thank you. But it's true. We get so fixated on what other people are going to say or think about the shit that we do, to where we self-edit, whether before what we say or the action of, during what we say or the action of, and then even at the end where, you know, you get the words out and then it's like, oh no, well I didn't mean it like that, I meant it like this. Like, no, that first thing that you fired out is, there was intention behind it. That's your shit. You thought about it, you felt that it was right, you threw it out. You can't rewind. You can't. So for me to see that you're making that self-edit after the fact, and I see a lot of people do this, it's just like, well, who the hell are you trying to impress? Because you're so worried about that. It's like, I can't even say that I got you. You played yourself. And that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth is the first thing that you believe in. When you're talking about things, when you're casting judgment on someone, this, that, and the third in regards to that. So, and then the fact that you added that, oh, well, no, not like that, but it's like this. Well, one, you didn't give it that much thought. Because you were too worried about what I was... You're either too worried about what I was going to think, and then it came after the fact, or you're just like unapologetically you, and you see my reaction to it, and you're like, oh, no. Well, you can't take that shit back now because that was you just then. Don't change that. Just work on it and be better. That's it. You can't rewind that. You just said, well, better luck next time. Close but no cigar, right? Now, we're going to get on 3. Contempt for the judgments of others. Epictetus suggested that the orator who is nervous has been taught how to give a speech, but not how to manage the appetite for praise. Education on that subject begins with a sober view of those whose good opinions we want. So an orator is a public speaker with a lot of skill to back it. Politicians, why not? We'll add that into the mix. So, just like we said, so the guy that's skilled at speaking, but the skills kind of take the back seat because, the skills that work well for him and how he ultimately comes out, he has to self-edit that to make everybody there happy, which that's his first fuck up. A lot of people say it's like this, adorable little adage back when I was in high school. I was like, you're not a taco. Because I guess apparently I never met a person that doesn't like tacos. Where, I'm sure even vegans, they can make their own kind of tacos and it still tastes like a taco. I'm still going to count that in. I had never met the person that does not like tacos. So with that, yeah, don't try to be a taco because you're not for everybody. And that's okay. For the ones that you will be for, you're going to have your circles, whether it be small or large. I mean, you don't really want it large, but you want to have small to medium size, and that's okay. But with that, it's just that's going to be enough for you. So never go out in abundance to just try to make everybody happy, because once you start doing that, you won't be happy about yourself. You will never be happy with yourself if you try to make everyone else happy. The people pleaser. The one who apologizes the most. Fucks you up, man, and I've been there. I can tell you from first-hand experience. It's commendable. On paper, it sounds really nice. But in reality, it's just... Nah, man. It's about as bad as a yes man in a relationship. It's fucking pitiful. Now, from Seneca from Epistles. How foolish one must be to leave a lecture hall gratified by the applause of the ignorant. Why do you take pleasure in praise from those you cannot praise yourself? Perfect. From Marcus Aurelius from Meditations. Keep constantly in mind who these people are whose admiration you seek and what guiding principles they have. Then you will not blame them when they carelessly offend you, and you will have no further wish for their approval once you look into the sources of their motives and opinions. I'll unpack that a little bit. So with this, there are people that you do seek that admiration. You do want them to like you, and especially if let's say for the young men that look up to older guys at the workplace that's set apart from their dads. Where it's like, oh, well, this guy teaches me a whole lot more than my father did. No, I'll put some blame on the dad for that, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, well, even if the dad shows you all that he knows, it isn't all that is to be known out in the real world. It's just that, either your father just kind of was his knowledge was small scale, that of which it was just residing behind, his town, his city, his state, or this guy is really gonna know about the world. Whether and you can know about the world now with the technology that we have, or you can just go out there and uncover it for yourself, which I highly recommend. But even with you researching about the world from computers, phones, whatever have you, it's still something to take in and have it trickle down to others, because world knowledge is unsurpassed. And then you will not blame them when they carelessly offend you. You will have no further wish for their approval once you look into the in-sources of their motives and opinions. So again, once you start figuring their shit out, it's not a bother, man. And you're not gonna blame them for whatever kind of bullshit it is. You're just like, it's fine. You're being a goofy bitch. Well, you're a goofy bitch until further notice, and be in peace, goofy. From Schopenhauer, The Wisdom of Life, 1851. What goes on in other people's consciousness is, as such, a matter of indifference to us, and in time we get really indifferent to it. When we come to see how superficial and futile are most people's thoughts, how narrow their ideas, how mean their sentiments, how perverse their opinions, and how much of error there is in most of them. So, I really don't even need to unpack that, man. That's about as clear cut as you can get. But even with that, yeah, it's just when you take a look, just because you're curious, you get to see a whole lot of shit, man. People's perspectives on things can be a little scary at times, concern other times, and insightful some of the times, Now, there is this guy, Cicero, right? Cicero was, he had his views on the theme, the viewing fame as the accumulated opinions of people whose views are worth nothing. I'll say that again. Viewing fame as the accumulated opinions of people whose views are worth nothing. So, this guy was definitely on his shit back in the day as well. He, much like the other Greek philosophers back in the day, he definitely was on his shit, man. I'm gonna get to that within this quote from his book On Duties. True and philosophic greatness of spirit regards that virtue to which nature most aspires as consisting in deeds, not in fame, and prefers to be first in reality rather than in name. And in truth, he who depends upon the caprice of the ignorant rabble cannot be numbered among the great. And if that thump scared you, I'm sorry. I got a little hype. And I know I moved my camera too. It's okay. But the fact of the matter is, bro, this is from, this is from way thousands of years ago. And these people are fucking talking about human behavior then. How fucking different are we now than how we were back then? Take away the technology. Take away the fucking the soft, Netflix, computer, video games, all this shit. How different would we be if we never had this and it's 2023? Would it be for the better? Would it be for the worse? Would we still be walking in circles? This is the thing that just it gets to me in a way where I'm not upset, but I'm just passionate about it because it's exciting, man. And sometimes I do think about that, where it's shit. If we probably could have been better, but that's not to say that we still don't have the ability to. Of course we have the ability to. It's these things around us that keep us from hitting our true potential, man. But I understand that, we do work a lot of hours for someone else, and but you always have to apply hours into yourself for the day, man. What do you do for you before it's bedtime? What have you done for yourself before you go to sleep? Because you give your energy to your job. You give your energy to your family, to the kids. Which, look, Family is huge to me, so it's definitely commendable. But at the same time, it's like, are you giving yourself to your family and children to where it's giving back to you, to where you feel that fulfillment, to where you feel that purpose? Because if not, you have to at least give yourself that hour or two to like your time, whatever it is, whatever it may be, to where you can actually get that fulfillment, man. Now, the Stoic therefore regards widespread approval of some things as a bad sign. Seneca on the happy life. Human affairs are not so happily ordered that the better things are pleasing to the many. A proof of the worst choice is the crowd. I don't have to unpack that. The same goes for people. Mass popularity suggests a want of quality or integrity in whoever obtains it. Seneca from Epistles. It takes trickery to cultivate popular approval. You have to make yourself like them. If I see you much acclaimed by the populace, if your entrances are greeted by the sound of cheers and applause, as we've seen given to actors, if the whole state, even the women and children, sing your praises, how can I help pitying you? For I know what road one must take to gain such popularity. And this, yeah, to where it's just like, well, look, for that kind of popularity, man, that kind of way is paved with bad intentions. Not for all, for some. There are some out there that you can get praise, maybe not about as widespread as actors, but praise for you like doing good shit. To where it's like outside of entertainment, it's more so as like verbal holistics. I don't even think that's a fucking thing. But let's say for example, pre-Chris Rock slap Will Smith, everyone loved him, right? Could do no wrong, this and that, does the wrong and all. Now, I could, perhaps one day be up on my shit with this without ever folding like that, and because I know myself, honestly. And I most likely won't get as much praise as Will Smith. Why? Because, sure, I could be entertaining, but I'm not that kind of entertainer. My whole life doesn't go to just one aspect. No, my whole thing goes to many aspects to live a better life. For myself, have it trickle down for others, and then they're living better lives. And, keep the cycle going. A lot of people, it's kind of a foreign concept until they go through it themselves. Like what I'm doing here, you will never see on the big screen. That's clean cut. But I'm okay with that. I don't need a big screen to get that kind of pull. I just need to just go out there, do my own thing, show other people, really advertise myself in that way, and you see how that happens. Now, for 4, futility. Stoicism also applies the acid bath of reason to fame itself, arguing that it is useless and cannot last long anyhow. So from Marcus Aurelius from Meditations, soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everything will have forgotten you. And that definitely helps live the life that you want to live, man, so that we're not so glued to the things that, to the little things, like material things that don't matter. If it's outside of like life and communication with life, don't matter much, man. Now, also from Marcus Aurelius from Meditations, how strange it is what people do. They are reluctant to praise men who live at the same time they do, yet they think it is important to be praised by future generations, by those they have never seen and never will. This comes close to being aggrieved because those living in former times did not speak well of you. Woo. Marcus Aurelius don't drop bombs like that, but this one, yeah. Yeah. But with that, yeah, man. The everyday people, everyday people don't get praised for what they do. It's rather like praised for the toxicity. Like the toxicity is more commendable to the populace rather than like positivity. And it's important for like the younger generation to like look up to you. Yeah, it is. But to praise that kind of shit, man, nah. What I'm trying to do here, yeah, I'm trying to like Build people up, man, so that the young kids can see that. And, they're able to live out in the succession that they're supposed to live out in, be better than us. Now, 5, valuing one's own judgments. The Stoic response to praise and fame has a negative side that we have seen, the dissection of those things to show how little they are worth. But the Stoics would do more than learn contempt for public opinion. They would replace it with greater respect for opinions of their own. Whew. Yeah. And we're sorry, just like a moment of silence for that one. But Marcus Aurelius touches on this in Meditations. I have often wondered how it is that, though every man loves himself most of all, he gives less weight to his own opinion of himself than to the opinion of others. If a god or wise teacher should appear and order a man not to have any thought or plan in his mind that he does not instantly and loudly announce, he would not be able to stand for it every day. Evidently, we have more respect for the opinions of our neighbors. Evidently, we have more respect for the opinions our neighbors hold about us than we do for our own. And it's, and it just, this is kind of like adding on to more of, what has been said earlier in this topic. Man, it's, look, you put yourself in the front seat for once, because the longer you have yourself there and you build up from that, a lot of people pay attention to that. Whether or not they talk about it with you or they have their vagaries of acknowledgement, to where they just kind of they let you know, but they won't outwardly let you know, and to not just, to not be so worried about what other people think in that way, because you need to put more effort into worrying about what you think about everything, to where it's like, if your moral compass points true north, and you have these thoughts, and you're well amongst yourself, and you're well amongst the people, that kind of person knows within their heart that, within their heart and their thought and their soul, where it's like, I know I'm doing the right thing. I know what kind of effects it has on people. And I know that if they have something opposite of that to say to me, that it's just not going to affect me, so I shouldn't be so worried about pleasing them, because it's only going to break me down from living righteously. Seneca from Epistles. Be deaf to those who love you most of all. They pray for bad things with good intentions. And if you want to be happy, pray to the gods that none of their fond desires for you may be brought to pass. Those things they wish to have heaped upon you are not really good. There is only one good, the cause and the support of a happy life. Trust in oneself. I don't even have to unpack that. That's fucking gold. Seneca from Epistles. A brave man can appear even wrapped in bedclothes. You have a task at hand, to wrestle courageously with disease. If it cannot force you to do anything, or persuade you to do anything, you are setting a distinguished example. What a wealth of material there would be for achieving honor, if we were observed in our illness. Be your own spectator, seek your own applause. I don't even have to unpack that either. Even if I were to repeat this, or you rewind this video and hear that quote again, bro, it's what I've been saying. And I don't even know this dude. I feel like I know him. But it's like, Seneca's the fucking man. Now, from Montagne. Now, before we even get into that, this is why, with you bettering yourself and, give yourself the time to talk to yourself, talk with yourself. Whether it's you're just kind of sitting there, you're in the car on the way to work or whatever. I would be a huge fan of just looking at the man in the mirror, man. Just look, take a good look at yourself. Talk yourself through the shit that, the things that you appreciate that you have, and the things that you want to work on that you're not quite there yet. But, to never really beat yourself up on your faults, man. and to never really don't beat yourself on your bad faults, and don't overly praise yourself on your good faults. There you go. Because fault definitely has a negative connotation to it, but to me, you have good faults and bad. You are at fault for everything good and bad you do in your life. So why not split that? You know? So from Montaigne, from his book Of Repentance, 1580. No one but you knows whether you are cowardly and cruel or loyal and devout. Others never see you. They only guess about you by uncertain conjectures. They do not see your nature so much as they see your artifice. So do not cling to their judgments. Cling to your own. And, and with that, the definition of artifice is clever or cunning devices or expedients, especially as used to trick or deceive others. So think about it. They do not see your nature so much as they see your art. They're already thinking you're a goofy hoe. They're thinking you're a liar. They're thinking you're a faker. They're thinking that you're just like everybody else until you show them otherwise, and then either they're really receptive to that or they wrestle like, oh, it just can't be possible. No. And you're just sitting there like, mm-hmm. You let me know when you're good with that. You know what I mean? But if you know truthfully that you are set apart from the crowd like that, that's a good thing. Sit well on that throne, man. Because a lot of people, it takes them more time to get there. It takes them more of a battle to get there. That doesn't mean that they're asked out of the opportunity to do it. It's just that they might not be, they might not grasp certain concepts as well within a time frame that would be more conducive to them. Okay, well, you just got to play it patient just a little bit longer with yourself. Now, number 6, valuing things for their own sake. The other affirmative branch of the Stoic view seeks to value things in themselves for their goodness rather than their popularity. Thank you, Mr. Ward Farnsworth. Marcus Aurelius for Meditations. Everything that is beautiful in any way is beautiful in itself, and its beauty is self-contained. Praise is not part of it. Nothing is made better or worse by being praised. Oh. Man. But it's true. Praise is not a part of the beauty that's self-contained. It's an external, the praise. So, focus on the internals, man. Because everything that lives and breathes lives in its own beautiful way. That's sure. That's fine. Why can't you? You're just as beautiful as everything else around you that you view to be. Why not give that to yourself when you should? Again, it all starts with you, man. From Schopenhauer, The Wisdom of Life, 1851. Not fame, but that which deserves to be famous is what a man should hold in esteem. Light is not visible unless it meets with something to reflect it, and talent is sure of itself only when its fame is noised abroad. But fame is not a certain symptom of merit, because you can have the one without the other, or, as